Hello all, today is day 11 of our Write It series for Black History Month here at blacksandperiodfilms.com, and today we are going to be discussing a legend. We are going to be discussing Mary Fields, better known as Stagecoach Mary or Black Mary. She was the first African American woman to be a mail carrier in the United States of America. I'm not going to cover every little detail in her life in this video, but I will cover some of the things that stood out to me. Additionally, when you do research on her, and I have links to all of the articles that I reference, when you do research on her, you find that because she is such a legend, there are a lot of different stories going around about her life. So you might have heard different versions of this. If you want to discuss them down below, that'd be great. But for the most part, know that I did my very best in trying to find the most correct information about her life. So let's get started. She was born in 1832 on a Tennessee plantation. As a slave, she was able to learn to read and write, and that's because she was very close with her owner's daughter. After she receives freedom, she learns that that friend of hers, her master's daughter, has gone out west. Some articles say that she follows her out west to be in Montana. Well, when she's out in Montana, she ends up being a forewoman. And that's the amazing thing about her story. A lot of attention is brought to the fact that she was a mail carrier, and that's awesome because she made history as a mail carrier, but she also had a lot of other things occur in her life. As a forewoman at the St. Peter's Mission in Montana, she did everything: laundry, carpentry, she chopped wood, she was gardening, and it was there that she made a life for herself for many years. She ended up going to Montana because her friend was sick, so she took care of her friend, nursed her back to health. As I said before, there's many different versions of this story told. That when she was a forewoman, apparently she got in a fight with the janitor. Some people say he slapped her. Some people say he was mad because he wanted a raise. I saw other articles that said she made more than him. So suffice it to say, she got an argument with him, stood up for herself, and she ended up getting fired from her position as a forewoman at the mission. So the nuns got some money together to help her find a position so that she could take care of herself, and she ended up with a restaurant. But because cooking really wasn't her thing, and additionally because she was such a kind spirit, she gave away a lot of the food she was supposed to be selling for free. So her restaurant failed. But I think it would be an interesting thing to see her learning the ropes of being a cook, never really getting a hang of it. So her restaurant failed. Now, for many, losing their restaurant would have ended up in a downward spiral in their life, but not for Mary Fields. She saw the announcement about them needing a mail carrier, and so she began a new career at the age of 63. They had a test, and she was the one who was the fastest, and so she got the job as a mail carrier for the United States. Using her mule, Moses, she delivered mail precisely and on time, and it was said that it didn't matter whatever weather conditions there were, she was able to still deliver her mail on time. And because she was so fast and always on time, that's how she got the nickname Stagecoach Mary, the name that has put her as a solid legend of the American Wild Wild West. Now, after being a mail carrier for many years, she went on to retire, and she just began living life in Cascade, Montana. She was beloved by the locals and praised because of how generous she was. She died at the age of 80, and her funeral was one of the largest the town had ever seen. We have seen Stagecoach Mary on screen before. We saw Esther Rolle play her, Dawn Lewis, Kimberly Elise, a role which I wrote about on the blog, which I'll link down below, as well as Amber Robinson in the series Hell on Wheels. So we've seen 4 incarnations of Stagecoach Mary on screen, but what we have not seen is a film or series with Stagecoach Mary as the center, as the main character. She has been in films and series with small side roles. For example, Kimberly Elise played her in the Hallmark movie Hannah's Law, but she was far from being the main character. I feel like she was underutilized, but I talked about that in the review, so you can watch that there. But I want to see a series with Stagecoach Mary as the main character. I did a little drafting of it, and I think it should be 4 parts, 4 episodes to this miniseries. First, we see her life as an enslaved person. Her learning to read, her getting and developing all the skills that she would need to be this awesome legend that she is now. And then the second episode is her in Montana, in her life as the forewoman there, and her getting in the fight with the man. From there, we see her in her third episode go on to be the restaurant owner, her trying to develop those skills that she just doesn't have and working hard at keeping the restaurant open, but ultimately failing. Now, at the end of the third episode, we think, oh my goodness, what's going to happen now? But that's when the fourth episode starts, and she's the mail carrier, and we see her develop the legendary moniker Stagecoach Mary because of how efficient and effective she is as a mail carrier. Towards the end of the series, we see her life as a beloved local in Montana. That's just how I would write a mini-series about her life, a 4-part mini-series about Stagecoach Mary. So many things have happened in her life that she has enough stories to fill it up. There's an expression, the man, the myth, the legend. This applies fully to Mary Fields, the woman, the myth, the legend. As I said before, there are so many articles online about her, and so many of them have different versions of the same occurrences in her life. Sometimes they'll say it happened this way, and one article will say it happened that way, another will say it happened this way. So really, she is a legend. There are so many different ways to tell her story. It's up to the writer to decide what they're going to put as truth and what they won't. Her life could be portrayed in an extremely epic way, but it could also be told in a small way because she is a legend. And this is what happens with many legends from the Wild Wild West. Their stories get elevated. And I want to see that with Stagecoach Mary. So she was brave, tenacious, kind, and hardworking. Stagecoach Mary's life was a compelling one. She deserves to have a film or series honor her legacy. Someone should write it.